boxes that you could drop
That's kind of
on
close.
the schedule for. This is the last 60 hours for one too, I think. One night. Okay.
I'm about doing 60. That's the one that you can just retake the test, right?
Turns out I have
I have a
one. Sorry, we're
license,
blowing
it's
it
just
up.
in the active status. I just have to-
Oh,
Are you saying that configured message? It turns out we have one. Steph and I have one credit
I will be.
for some random
I was
class.
like, activate. my-
Better than
I'm sure I have more than that. Where do I find them?
The dues and everything. like
On the
that,
website?
You know, pay it now, pay it
Whatever I've taken in Iowa would be on DMARC, right?
Maybe. I don't know. I'll check. I'll let you know.
Do you know where to check?
I think so, yeah.
I'm pretty sure I have at least one. I'm sure I have more than that in 3 years.
I'll check after this.
Just took my broker classes, and then it would be good to go. There's a class one on there.
Oh, man.
I was just gonna say you're in it.
Can you see me now? Oh, welcome. You look lovely. Thank you. How are you? Good, how are you? Good.
How was your trip?
Short but fun.
Was it that short?
Oh, then usually, yeah. Usually it lasts about 5 weeks.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But it was good. Spend time with family.
How often do you normally get back?
At least once a year. So I'm sitting here. So I have to get back and see my grandma. Yes.
I did a little bit last year. Yeah. So I'm not part of it now.
What's happening? Hurry up.
Please say everybody.
Living dreams, make them come true. That works.
So fun. How's it going?
Yeah.
Yes,
How's that?
it was good. What? Cape Cod.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it was really nice.
You, understand?
No, not really.
Nothing?
Not really.
You didn't go up to the very north part.
No.
Where all the fun cities. are.
Evidently not.
That's a fun city.
No.
Like,
We went over to Nantucket the other day and we went to Martha's Vineyard today. But it was in and out.
Well, when?
Well, it was through the lumber company. Anna's Harbor.
yeah.
Yeah.
You were like, more clear out on the side.
We're very close to it.
I did pick that.
Well, hi.
How are you doing? We got a full, almost full house. Hi, everybody.
How you doing?
How are you?
Oh, no problem.
Hey.
So no.
Hey, Shannon.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How you doing? So last time we spoke was a couple weeks ago about that one thing. You got me to get resolved on soon.
He never, it was about the earnest money.
Oh, that.
And basically, like, getting out of the deal. He never even countersigned any of the paperwork or anything. I just sent me a text saying that the seller stopped, I could wait for earnest money check at his office. But I had to call the office and like, can you just mail it to me? He wouldn't answer the call.
Yeah. Is that what, how many deals have you done with them now? A bunch?
4. I've been through 4. 2.
That's a lot of deals.
This is the 3rd one that's fallen through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of agents that I haven't done more than 2 or 3
No, it's
deals.
crazy. And as soon as I saw his name, I'm like, I have to do this. I don't want to.
Yeah. Are we live?
Yep.
How many people are on live?
4 so far.
Oh, 4? Didn't tell us who, huh? Oh. I look a lot fatter on video where I suck it in. I'm just kidding. Yeah. I like the same either way. Time is it? 11:01. Oh, let's get started. Maria's here. Shane's back there. Lance is chatting.
Don't cut the camera.
I won't take the camera. How's everyone doing today? What's today, Wednesday?
It is.
Hump day? Hump day because it's the hump of the week. That's why I say that. Jen's here. You know, we got a lot of familiar faces, and I think we got some new faces. So what I think we are going to do is we're going to make some introductions. I'll introduce myself. How many people don't know who I am? Okay, 1, 2. She doesn't know who I am. Most of you guys know me. I'm Lou. I am one of the broker owners and one of the brokers that's going to be leading this next level momentum training. And let's introduce everyone individually real quick. Who you are, where you're from, or which office you're from, and one thing you're excited about. And it could be excited to be here with me too. So we'll start, we're going to pick on Randy first. Let's start from the back.
Randy Murphy, I work out of the Yankee Polk City office. I'm just excited about working with Remax Concepts. Awesome brokerage.
Yeah, that's awesome. We paid Randy to say that.
Take care of it.
Yeah.
Jen Stavro, I'm from the Vista office, and I'm excited that things have been just a little slower to kind of regroup and refocus and just make sure we're getting everything on all cylinders.
Jen's not just from the Vista office, she's our Vista broker. So, if you have problems there, Jen's in charge.
Yes. I'm Erica. I'm from the Urbandale office. I'm excited to just go into Q4 and kind of regroup and set goals for next year.
Yes, you're in the right place.
Yeah.
Both of you guys are in the right place, and Randy was paid to be here, so he's
I'm Carrie Weber. I'm from the Urbandale office, and pretty much the same. I'm just excited to get things in place to kick off next year.
sweet.
Cameron Campos, I'm on the Torres team out of Polk City.
We won't hold that against them.
Yeah. This is my first full year in real estate, so I'm excited to continue to build and then take my business to the next level.
Yeah, good for you, Cameron.
Awesome. I'm Maria Landmisser. I am from the Ankeny office, and I'm just ready to get reorganized here. So
So heard that kind of twice now. Jen didn't say those exact same words, but something similar. Cool.
Melanie Anderson, out of Ankeny and Polk City.
And I'm the same way. I'm excited to get my stuff organized so that I'm ready to go at the beginning of the year.
Awesome.
I am Greg Kaitola, and I will be joining the Roberts team in Grimes. And as soon as I finish my classes, so I'm anxious to get started.
He's getting a head start.
Yeah,
That's
well, the
awesome.
timing was right here, so.
What'd you do before you joined?
I had careers in publishing. I was a newspaper publisher. I was in office technology for a time. But I worked with Roberts on my last couple of houses, so.
Cool.
That's one of the best to work
What are you
with.
doing?
Well, welcome, Greg. I want to say welcome, Greg.
Welcome, Greg.
Thanks.
I'm Becky Denning. I'm out of the downtown office once I get up and going. I'm taking my 36 hours. I had a real estate license. It's in an inactive status right now, so I have to activate it and plan to get started again the first of the year.
So real quick, how long were you in it before, and then how long off, and then
About 10 on and 10 off.
10 off and 10 on, and
Yeah.
she's back because she got bored.
Yeah, I'm retired.
She retired and got
so,
bored.
Yeah.
So
Want to get
Awesome.
back in the workforce.
Well, everyone say welcome to Becky.
Welcome. Thank you.
We're gonna have fun. Let's have fun today. So,
Shannon Coriel, I'm out of Boo's office in West Des Moines. And I also am excited to regroup. But I'm excited to have these classes back and see all of your lovely faces again every week. I kind of miss them keeping me on track and motivated, so.
that's so sweet of you.
she was not paid to say that.
But we'll have to pay her now.
Right.
That was very sweet.
Emily Gravy, I'm with the Boone office. There is a Boone office.
There's it's a nice office too.
And
Boone is booming too, by the way.
this is my dad, Carl, and we're actually the only ones in that Boone office, but we're just excited we joined Concepts. We've actually had our office open for about 15 years, but we joined Concepts just last year, just for things like this. So we're wanting to take advantage, and that's why we're here.
Pressure's on.
I was so now nervous. If they're not here next week, then believe me.
Yeah.
Carl McKnight, out of Boone, and trying to come down to these things whenever we can work them in as often as we can. Hoping to pick up a new idea and take it back home.
I hope we have some.
Yeah.
Awesome. Shane, you want to introduce yourself?
Shane Torres. I'm one of the broker owners. I float around all the offices, so primarily out of the northern area, Polk City, Yankee.
Might as well introduce this nice young man.
We got two back here that snuck in.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we'll wait for you.
Oh. Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah O'Bannon. I'm the newish director of marketing here. So I'm responsible for the marketing, PR, social media, that kind of stuff for Concepts as a whole. But I also, my favorite thing is working with all of you one-on-one to help you grow your business. So let me know how I can be of help to you.
Yeah, so who knew we had a director of marketing? Ever all hands?
Yes.
Okay, awesome, it's working. So, yeah, Sarah's here. If you guys have questions, ideas, things you want to consider implementing. Oh, right up front, Tasha, right there.
Yes.
Because that was
So sweet.
Now, Tasha's out of order, so she has to introduce herself.
No, we'll let Tasha sit down and get settled. Tasha knows her spot right there. That's her nice spot.
I'm Lansing.
Right?
I'm Lansing.
And what are you excited about? Where are you from?
What do you do?
What do We'll talk
Where are you
about that. I'm your principal broker for the company. So that's what
We
I
paid
do.
him to be.
I was not at the election process.
That's actually true.
Why are you excited to be here, Lance?
Because I love to come to all the trainings and see what's going on and what's new, because I meet people and talk with them, and I want to be knowledgeable about things that they can do and try and work with. And then every time I come here, I typically meet somebody I haven't met before. So.
Everyone say welcome, Lance. First time.
Back to Tasha.
Back to Tasha.
What are we saying? Who we are?
Who you are, where you're from, and why you're excited to be here. Or not excited to be here.
I'm Tasha Garlick. I'm out of the Altoona office. I'm excited to be here because I always learn something new.
Yeah.
Cool.
How many of you did Ultimate Momentum last year? Can you raise your hand? Yeah. What did you guys think? Everyone liked it? Can you guys just kind of share what you liked and what you learned with some of the other members of the group?
Do we want to have?
Oh, I'm sorry, Marinella, too.
Oh, hi, I'm
Sorry,
Marinella.
guys.
I'm the face behind all your pictures that I take. And
She's the tall girl.
the tall girl,
Yeah.
there you go. You
And
don't
why
know
are you
me.
excited to be here?
I'm excited to learn with you guys and also help make sure that people online also learn with you guys as well.
Yeah. And I better, before we go into what I was just saying, we better turn this a little bit too. Can I just turn it?
Nope.
No?
It's gonna fall.
It won't fall.
It's not attached. Don't.
This?
Oh, this isn't?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
I was just going to try to show the people. How many people got online?
6.
I think it's not attached. It's going to fall. Okay, we have
It's
6
gonna
people
fall.
online. So,
I took pictures. You
okay.
can see it on
You
my
guys will,
social media.
who do we don't know who we got. Do they have the
No.
message?
They're looking at you, just say hi.
I know. I already said I just wanted to show the group. We got almost a full house here, so that's awesome. Okay, so back to what was my question. So those that you guys that were here last year, what did you like? What was some of the biggest takeaway items? Tasha?
I feel like it just kind of took me back to basics, but on a different level, like just making sure I was being consistent in everything I was doing and kind of giving me a plan to do that.
Awesome. Who else would like to share something or things? Maria?
I just always feel like the trainings are worthwhile if you can make it a priority to be here, because when you meet people that you might not come across in your daily business, and then also I always learn something, and most of what I've learned is, not only come from the content, but from the other people in the class and stuff I've been able to apply very easily to my business, so.
That's awesome. Anyone else?
I just like that you come every week, it keeps you accountable, it keeps like your goals and the knowledge at the front of mind, so it keeps you on track.
Yeah. No, that's perfect. It's kind of like you guys were reading our minds. It's kind of like you guys were inside our brains and seeing what we were thinking. Oh, go ahead, Shannon.
I was going to say, to piggyback off of that I mean, some things and it's just a really good refresher. But I tried to do the viewing online, and I would make it a goal to do it, and then I would just get behind, and I would have so many to watch, and it would just be kind of overwhelming, and I wouldn't do it. So I find that coming here is a lot more helpful because I actually.
And let's be honest, when you watch online, you just push play and go do other stuff.
No, I don't.
Okay.
But that's why I end up not taking so long to watch it, because I have to dedicate that time. So.
Yeah. Anyone else? Well, you guys, like I said, you guys read our mind. That's exactly why we wanted to do this. And a lot of the comments I've heard are, getting back to the basics. And that's definitely at the core of what we want to do, is make sure that everyone in this room has a real solid foundation. But then also, I heard a few of you guys said, now is a good time, Q4, maybe things are slowing down, to really focus on some of your systems, your ideas, your processes, your marketing, sharpen that saw, and allow all this training, all these ideas that you're going to generate to really help propel you into next year. And that's the number one goal that we have. So can we go ahead and click to the next slide? I'll give you guys kind of an overview. So the next slide, please. Okay, so for those that you guys attended last week, what we wanted to do was really take it to the next level.
Last year.
Last year. I'm sorry. We really want to take it to that next level. So a lot of the core things that we're going to go over are still going to be there, but then also how do we enhance, how do we make it better? So we've got a lot of ideas. Going through this program last year, we learned a lot. So instead of having it be a 14-week course, we actually were able to trim it down to 9 weeks. So just really focusing on the meat and the potatoes and trying to take out some of the fluff. Also, not to get you guys too excited, is we are also bringing in some really strong agents, subject matter experts that are going to help us with some of the different topics. So some of the topics we're going to talk about is referral, marketing, working with buyers, working with sellers, pricing, open house, expireds, for sale by owners, activity management, and leverage. So we feel that that's the core of what your business should be built on. And so just instead of listening to me or Lance or Shane and getting bored at looking at our faces or hearing our voices, we're gonna bring in agents like Jen Stambro to come in and talk about stuff. We've got Kristen Kofelt coming in and talking about some stuff. We've got, who else we got?
We've got a list of a lot of, and I'm throwing this out there because I don't know that we've got confirmation from all of them yet, but we're asking, Colin Pansy, Adam Bunce, those Mike Reagan kills it with FSBOs, so he's gonna help with that one. There's a lot of agents that are gonna, because like we said, you hear us all the time, so it's good to hear from your peers' perspectives as to what they're doing and what's working.
And we love what we do. We love trying to show you guys and offer all kinds of insights of how we do things. But as we are trying to help concepts overall, we are selling less, and we want to bring in some of these experts that are in the trenches doing these things day in, day out, just so you guys get another perspective. But then also, as we're talking about these different things, I know I'm looking at actually all of you in this room that have done Momentum, that have done Kickstart, that can't come to all these other classes, and you guys are also the experts. So that's the one thing is we do, from a concept brokerage standpoint, work from a law of abundance. We feel that there is plenty of business out there, not just for you as individual agents, but us as a company and the market overall. So what we feel is if we can all learn together, if we can all share, we're all going to grow. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But so the goal, this course, like I said, is going to be 9 weeks. So the goal is to give you guys a lot of information. But the goal above and beyond that is to make sure that you guys have this information, that you can study it on your own, offline. You guys can practice it day in, day out. I have a saying, so practicing, whether it's talking about different marketing strategies, referral strategies, your open house, different things that you need to do to focus on building your business. It's one thing to know, but it's another thing to practice. And then from there, taking action. Nothing is going to benefit you if it's in your mind unless you make it an action, an activity, a habit. And then just reinforcing those things. So that's one of the reasons why we want to do it at the end of the year, is to help you guys, learn all this information, be able to practice it, take action, but then also help you continue to reinforce it. So we'll continue to do this year after year. Does that sound pretty good? Can we go to the next?
Real quick, and to piggyback off of what he said real quick, with anyone in this room, what makes these things really fun and effective is asking questions and giving insight and input and just really interactive. And I feel that that's when we get the best results out of these classes.
It also makes fun to pick on us too. So if we say something weird or say something wrong, just pick on us. If one of us accidentally has their zipper unzipped, you just point it out.
That happened last year too.
No, it didn't. Yeah. That's why I like Tasha sitting here. She checked. She my step. No.
I tried to discreetly tell him that his zipper was down on camera, and he was like,
She told me when my zipper's down. She told me when I had toilet paper stuff to my shoe. She told me when my hair's not combed.
Good team player.
She's awesome. But so real quick, so this, like I said, we want to be interactive, want it to be just very comfortable. But can everyone kind of let me know if you guys are on track for your goals this year? Keep your hands up. Put your hands up. Actually, if you're on track for your goals. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So put your hands down. So who's not on track for their goals? Everybody else, for the most part. So we have some work to do. How far off are you guys? Some of you guys for goal, a ways off, or still within reach? Or what are your? So that's why we're here.
I have set goals. That's
okay.
Part of my
well, that's my next question actually. Okay. So there's 1 or 2 that said they're not on track. But how many did set goals this year? Raise, keep your hands up actually, please. You said goals. We set goals kind of.
Did you say did or didn't?
Did.
Didn't.
Wait, what did I say?
You said how many did?
Oh, did set goals. Sorry. I'm sorry. I meant to say didn't. See, pick on me. Okay. I'm down. And how many didn't set goals? Emily. Is that default Carl then, your dad, in the?
Well, it's just, yeah. I just feel like we've just been so busy just trying to take care of business that we haven't tried to focus on what we could be doing better, and that's, yeah.
You know what? And that's about 99% of us is we work in our business every day. We're chasing down abstracts. We're following up on showing requests or showing feedback. We're trying to search the MLS for listings. And some of those activities are definitely things that are very vital to our business, but then also some of them maybe not as vital, maybe they're not indirect or they're not direct income producing activities. So I'm glad you said that, because I think a lot of you guys would agree that sometimes we work so hard in our business versus working on our business. Can you guys kind of agree with that? And definitely to keep the things going, we gotta work, in our business. But from a strategic goal standpoint, we also have to take time, take a step back and work on our business. Making sure that we've got the goal set, making sure that we're tracking our numbers, tracking our metrics, making sure that the marketing campaigns are set, the systems are in place. So that is definitely okay. Don't always feel that you have to be just running from house to house, meeting to meeting. Working on your business is okay. Disconnecting from your day-to-day activities and just focusing on those things are some of the best ways that I try to work on my business. Anyone agree with that, or have any other ideas? But let's go to the next slide. Do we have this video set in the right place?
Yep. Well, turn that up.
Anyone seen You Should Make Your Bed Every Day? So it's good. I've seen it like 10 times.
We're gonna watch it again. It's my
Taking
favorite.
basic SEAL training was a lifetime of challenges crammed into 6 months.
What?
So here are the 10 lessons I learned from basic SEAL training that hopefully will be of value to you as you move forward in life.
Did anyone hear that okay?
Every morning in SEAL training, my instructors, who at the time were all Vietnam veterans, would show up in my barracks room, and the first thing they'd do was inspect my bed. If you did it right, the corners would be square, the covers would be pulled tight, the pillow centered just under the headboard, and the extra blanket folded neatly at the foot of the rack. It was a simple task, mundane at best, but every morning we were required to make our bed to perfection. It seemed a little ridiculous at the time, particularly in light of the fact that we were aspiring to be real warriors, tough, battle-hardened SEALs. But the wisdom of this simple act has been proven to me many times over. If you make your bed every morning, you will have accomplished the first task of the day. It will give you a small sense of pride, and it will encourage you to do another task, and another, and another. And by the end of the day, that one task completed will have turned into many tasks completed. Making your bed will also reinforce the fact that the little things in life matter. If you can't do the little things right, you'll never be able to do the big things right. And if by chance you have a miserable day, you will come home to a bed that is made, that you made. And a made bed gives you encouragement that tomorrow will be better. So if you want to change the world, start off by making your bed.
Who's all watched the full video? There's a full 20-minute video if you haven't seen it. Highly, highly recommend it. The guy's also got a book that he just came out with that is phenomenal, where he goes into even more detail, which I highly suggest. So,
yeah. Can we click to the next slide, please? Okay. Real estate is a get-rich business. Who agrees with that and who disagrees with that? Agree? Yeah. So real estate is one of the businesses where you can give yourself a raise whenever you want to, whether it's a 3% raise, a 30% raise, even a 300% raise. So definitely that's the great thing. One of the great things about being in this business is that we can create a great lifestyle, not just for ourselves, but for our families and the ones that we want to support. So go ahead and click to that next slide, please. So with that, we've got some handouts that we're gonna, you should all have a handout, right? So these are updated handouts, a little different from the ones that we handed out last year. But the key thing to all these handouts too is to read them, underline, and feel free to share that information. Anyone know what separates a top producer for a non-top producing agent? Any ideas?
Focus.
Yep. Just keep paying Randy to say the right answers here.
The right activity.
Yeah, great job, great answer.
Time blocking.
Yep. Yeah, you're jumping ahead to like slide 26. So yeah, actually, you guys nailed it. It's all three of those things. Focusing on the right vital activities and time blocking or activity blocking is what we're going to kind of do our next level twist on it. But those are the biggest things that differentiate a top producer from a non-top producer. We all have the same amount of hours in the day. We all have, 24 hours to try to get as much things that we need to get done. But the top producing agents, the agents that are constantly performing year in, year out, focus on the vital. And what's vital? Not just from a business standpoint, from a health standpoint, like your vitals. You check your vitals, your heart rate, blood pressure, check your breathing, right? So we've got things that are vital to our businesses. Then income producing activities. So what are income producing activities? We're going to talk more about that in a little bit, but income producing activities are lead generation, appointments, attending closings, writing offers, negotiating. That is very different than indirect income producing activities, which unfortunately a lot of times will eat up 80–90% of your workday. Indirect income producing activities is constantly checking your email. How many are guilty? And I'm going to raise my hand, keep my hand up, but just constantly refreshing your emails. Like, send me next. And the next thing you know, you chase that email down that rabbit hole because somebody wants to, know something. Where do I go to, set up my utilities? So I'll help you. And you get focused on the vital activities, making sure that your business is running, that you're alive and you're kicking. So that is the definite number one difference between top producers and non-producers. Shane, got anything to add on that?
No, I think the big thing you touched on was that we all have the same amount of hours in a day. It's just how you focus your hours, and a huge, jumping ahead, time blocking to those priority activities.
Yeah. Any questions on that at all? Pretty basic, right? Pretty simple. And then why work? I mean, who in this room would say that you live to work? That's like why you were born on this planet was to work and pay Uncle Sam and pay bills and pay the bank. Nobody, right? So, and that's the one thing. There was a great quote. Actually, Marinella put out the quote yesterday. What was on our Facebook page? What did it say? About Mondays. It was about Mondays. So did anyone read it? Can anyone?
The one I saw said, "If you love what you do, you'll
never have
to worry about Monday or something like that."
Yeah. So I kind of segued a little bit, but that's exactly the post. And so why do we work? So we definitely don't live to work. Unfortunately, we have to work to live. And so those are the things back to what we talked about is, your time is your life. So how you focus your time and your energy is broken down to 3 different things, focusing on yourself. So making sure that you take care of yourself first. Warren Buffett, the Oracle of Omaha, has once said that, your body is your vessel, your brain, your soul, everything physical about it. Now this man also is 87 years old and has a Coke every day and that egg McMuffin or a sausage McMuffin.
Ice cream.
And ice cream. Now the difference of whether he has a sausage McMuffin versus an egg McMuffin is dependent on how his stocks have done. And so there's like a 17-cent difference between the two, and that's how crazy detailed he is. But again, sorry to get off the tangent, but what he has said that you only have one house. And so making sure that you take care of yourself first. If you don't take care of yourself, then you can't take care of these other 2 things. So making sure that you take care of the 4 primary pillars of you as an individual, your spiritual, whether it's your faith, who you are, your physical, your mental, and your emotional. And then from there, taking care of the people that you have great relationships with, a spouse, your partner, kids, family, and friends. Those things will all lead you to aspire for things that you're going to want, desire, and need, and that will kind of give you that reason why I need to work. And then from there, what we're going to talk about for the most part of the rest of this training is your finances. So go ahead and go to that next slide, would you? So what are your career options? And again, this is pretty basic stuff. And so options for funding your aspirations. I think everyone in this room has been an employee at one point in their life. Greg kind of most recently, right? But Sarah, one day Sarah, just so everyone knows, Sarah's going to be here over here. But so employees, working for others, low cash, high time, or Sarah's been paid very well, by the way, so don't. Plus, she loves her job. Self-employed, that's what most of us are now as independent contractors. You guys are self-employed. Most of you guys have an S corp, a C corp, LLC. So that's where most of you guys are. You're working for yourself. You're developing yourself. You're developing your systems. It's a high cash, high time. And then some of us in this room have slid over to being a business owner. Whether you own the team that you're leading, whether it's a business in rental properties or rehabbing or building homes, property management, high cash, low time. And then some of you guys slide down over here to the investor, unlimited living, passive income. I don't agree with this part without risk. There's definitely lots of risk with investment. But those are kind of your career options. And what all four of these mean, there's no right or wrong. It's really which quadrant, and this has all come from Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad, which quadrant do you want to live in? And so for most of us, what we're going to focus on is being this self-employed quadrant. So to back up, we said, why do we need to work? And now we're going to focus on what type of quadrant we're going to work in. Do we have anything to add to that? Shane, Lance? Thanks.
No, go back, please.
Okay.
So we're focusing right now on the self-employed, but our goal for everyone is to move over to the top where you're the actual business owner, whether it's just you as an individual, but where you have a good high cash, but your time is better balanced out, so you're not running ragged. I mean, going back to the last slide, which we don't have to do, but as far as family, who in this room knows someone who's a very successful real estate agent, but maybe doesn't have a great life at home because they're always gone? They do very well monetarily, but they don't have any quality of life. We don't want that for anybody. So that's where we want to help people, no matter what your goals are, to get over to that other category.
Yes, to go back into what you were talking about, is self-employed is working in your business, business owners working on your business.
Right.
So the transition from one to another is always the direction you need to be working on. When you think business owner and you think us owning business, that's not the case. Every one of you are independent contractors, self-employed, that should be thinking, I own a business and I need to have that business work so it's other people are working and doing things for me, working on things for you. We provide a lot of services that allows you to do that. I mean, we have a whole company full of services available to you, but you have to take advantage of them versus being self-employed. Be a business owner and take advantage of all the things this company provides for you, your closing services, your marketing director, your social media director, that we do all of these things. Take advantage of them and be a business owner.
Yeah. So quick raise of hands, that's their goal, is a business owner or an investor once it's all said and done. Quick show of hands. So basically everyone that's paying attention. Just kidding. So you gonna say something? No, okay. Continue, we're good.
Jen's already a business owner and investor too, so.
Call anyone out.
But yeah, and like we said, everybody starts at one of those quadrants, and Lance and Shane are exactly right. So that is a goal of Momentum, and that's why you guys are with Concepts. Our mission is to provide you with a great place to work that will help you empower yourself to run a business, to achieve that work-life balance, and to be successful. That's our vision, is to be the home of agents that now are just top producing agents that are aspire to be top.
Real quick to add to that, I want to mention one thing. So who said work-life balance? You can have work-life balance, but you cannot have time balance. So that's where it comes again back to being intentional on your time. So if you want to have, maybe go to a kid's soccer game, well, you might have to get up a little early to get done so you can be done early. So you can have life balance, but time balance, you can't have both.
Yeah. So it begins with the way you think. So this Momentum training today is, primarily going to be all about mindset, making sure that everyone's got that right mindset. So go ahead and click to that next baseline. So one of the goals with having the right kind of mindset is making sure that we're learning based. A lot of individuals, back to like that law of abundance and seeking knowledge to grow. A lot of people say they want to learn, but they learn and never take action. They never study. They never, practice any of those things. And go ahead and go to that next slide. And so this is kind of one of my favorite slides that we do, but learning to know, so we want to be learning based, but learning to know, you seek knowledge, you seek more knowledge, you seek more knowledge, and next thing you know, you can be a Jeopardy champion, which isn't bad, right? I think they win a decent amount of money. Or being learning based and learning to grow allows you to clarify your choices, to make decisions. Am I going to be a business owner? Am I going to be an investor? To take the actions based on some of the things that we're going to focus on today, some of the vital activities, and then building those habits. Like Shane said, waking up earlier. So if we know that we're only limited in life is time, we need to, make those choices to build some habits so that way we aren't focusing on indirect income producing activities versus the direct ones. And then that's going to ultimately shape your characters. As you build these habits, all of a sudden you build yourself into you're the new person, the new version of you. And that ultimately is going to determine your destiny. A lot of times people think, oh, it's up to fate. Well, it's not really up to fate. It's all about, doing all these things. And then all of a sudden you're going to point yourself to that destiny that you're wanting to achieve, the vision that you have for your life. And then from there, it's controlling your legacy. And I talk about that all the time. A lot of times one-on-one with agents or partners and things like that is, at the end of the day, knowing that time is our only limiting factor, what type of legacy are we going to live? Some of us, none of us know, but some of us might have a lot of years to accomplish building our legacy. Some of us, it might be next week, next year, and next hour. And so what are those things that we can do, the choices, the action, the habits, the character, the destiny, that when it's all said and done, we're on our deathbed, that we can say, we did leave a legacy for our family members, for our kids, our grandkids. But that makes sense? Anything to add?
No, so the flip side of this, and we're not going to spend a lot of time on that at all, actually I don't think at all, is that you're learning to know. The other side is the people who think they already know everything, which I don't feel that we have anyone in this room or within concept, so we're always, Lane thinks he knows everything, but so we're always open to new ideas and learning based and grow. And then the last thing that U just said, I heard this yesterday, and the guy was saying that he just flipped his mindset in the last 6 months. He was all just driven by money, and he lost one of his close friends who was in his 30s. And he went back and said he didn't want to leave his legacy defined by what his bank account was, but by how many people showed up at his funeral. Because that determines what the impact you had on someone, in life. So that is a lot what we're going to focus on.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to the next one. So we talked about that. So ultimately, our goal for you guys is to be learning based so that you can learn and grow. Go to the next slide, please. Why do people succeed? Success is multidimensional, and there's different quadrants of what you can do from a activity and a mindset standpoint. So pretty much these individuals here in this quadrant that are intentional and active, they're happy, they want it, they know they're not moving forward, and all they do is just talk about it. So the goal for everyone in this room is to not be in that quadrant. The unintentional and active, just a complete failure. They don't want it, they're not moving forward to it. Again, no one in this room is over here. I'm going to skip over here. The accidental and proactive, these individuals are often left frustrated. They don't want it, but they're still moving towards it for other reasons. But what we want to focus on here from an abundance standpoint are intentional activities and being proactive, because we all want it and we all know that we need to move towards it. So this intentional and being proactive are what we are going to try to help instill in you guys as a focus to be successful. Okay. So with that being said, to become intentional and proactive, there are models. So the model for success is defining what your aspirations are. What do you want? Be specific. Things that might be, like Shane said, might be from a quantitative standpoint, like you want a certain amount of money in the bank account, you want to have a retirement, but then also the things that you want as far as work-life balance. What is all this work that you're doing going to help you achieve in life? Then from there, developing goals, plans, strategies for achievement. So we talked about that earlier. some of us in this room didn't raise our hands when we said that we didn't have goals, and that's okay. We've got a lot of great agents that don't have goals that still produce numbers. But from my experience, from what I would highly, highly suggest, the goals is pretty much your map, and actually it's how it spells GPS. It's pretty much your map to help you understand what you want, and then from there creating plans and having strategies for that achievement.
Yeah, and the thing with the goals is it really determines how to build the systems that you're going to work on throughout this fall. So, you know, if you want to make X amount or you want to sell X amount of homes, you want to focus on listings, you work backward from those goals to determine what your system needs to be leading up into the first quarter.
And then turning those hopes into expectations. So your willingness, your motivation, your ability will actually lead to those expectations. So real quick too, does anyone, I know some of you have set goals, some of you didn't, but for 2018, has anyone started already thinking about goals that you had, not just from a income standpoint, but just from a life standpoint, and anything that's so exciting and wild and dreamy that you want to share? Let me go first. Maybe, yeah. My goal, just to let you guys know, is to become a better broker, become a better person, but then also to be more of an investor. So I'd like to invest more of my money to help offset, you know, some of the time that I need to spend to generate income. So I'd like to invest in more properties. So what I'd like to do is either build or buy 3 properties for the next 10 years. That's my big, wild, kind of fun, exciting goal. Another goal that I had is to be able to fund a trip where I could take my mom and my family back to her homeland, which is Thailand, and go there for 3 weeks, which at that point, I'll have my email and voicemail directed to these 2 guys. So for me, back to why do you work? You know, we don't live to work, but why do we work? We work to fund our dreams and our goals, and that for me says, I don't care if it's Monday or Friday or the weekend, I want to work because I know that those are my goals.
Yeah.
Lance?
Just quickly, and this is always my gig, and I think I actually have a talk on it somewhere down the road, that don't confuse goals with production. Okay, I mean, you can have a goal in your head for production, and that's because you want recognition or something like that. It's totally fine. That's a thing. But always, whenever you think, I want a new car. Why? I want a house. Why? He's talking about, and he finally got to his why. The third one in, he finally got to a why because he wants to take his mom to Thailand. That's a why. If you understand your why, your goals will be easy. You'll understand them. You'll know what you want because you know why you want them. And also you'll achieve your goals because your why always is paramount. So if you can always raise your head and see off in the distance your why. I want it because I want to send my kids to college. That was one of my early goals, is to pay for college for my kids. And I did because of this business. Know your why and your goals will be way more achievable. So it's not about, I need to make 4 calls a day. I need to do this. I need to do that. That's what you need to do to get to your goal. If you understand your goal, it's truly your why. What is it there that you really want to do all of this for? Why work? That's your why.
I'm gonna share one of mine for 2018, and I'm actually kind of bummed because I had one too. So both my parents aren't doing so well health-wise. So one of my goals, my mom's always dreamed to go to Puerto Rico, which my last name is Puerto Rican. So I planned on taking them in January, and obviously they just got slammed by 2 hurricanes, currently still getting slammed by a hurricane. So that's not gonna happen. So now I have this fear that by the time it's able to go again, they're not even gonna be around. So that's kind of a bummer, but.
But Lance hit on it really strong because that, because money comes and money goes. And then sometimes if you set a goal to make a certain amount or sell a certain number of homes, what happens when you hit it? Where does your motivation go? Like, I've already been there. And then that's kind of what they call like your midlife crisis, right? Because you've done everything you want to do and accomplish, and you don't have anything tangible or metric to really go towards anymore. So those whys, those deep, passionate whys are really important because that's what, will give you that energy, that magnet to wake up every day and just pull yourself out and say, oh, this is my goal. I want to achieve this because all of a sudden this leads for me to be able to have the life, to be able to give back, to be able to support other people. And that's when life is pretty cool, is when you've got these big, huge whys and you've got these big dreams. And, it's whether it's a vacation or an age that you want to retire or something that you want to do or invest or be a part of, the bigger the better. And that's probably one of the things that I feel that I've done in the past was I've set my goals and my dreams a little too low. I've sold myself short, and then I just wasn't, as motivated to go to work on Monday. But yeah, anything else? But from there, being proactive, implementing vital activities and moving for them. So back to what we said about the vitals, making sure that they're important for your business to survive, and being consistent with your action. So we're going to talk about that. I think Shannon mentioned time blocking, so we're going to talk about consistency. We're going to talk about efficiency. So doing what we already do, but doing it better, faster, smarter, and then also being more proficient, mastering those things that we do. And then also, this is the key thing, is being accountable for your actions. So when you write down your goals, you write down your whys, and you just kind of map everything you need to do from an action habit standpoint, holding yourself accountable. Because if you need to do those things to fund your dream, to fund your why, but then you look back and you didn't spend time to generate leads, you didn't spend time converting those leads, you didn't spend time servicing your client, and all of a sudden, those things, you're not holding yourself accountable, and you might as well just put them off to the side and bury them. And then just making sure that, whatever you expect, whatever goal that you have turns into reality.
Yeah, here's the thing. We can hold people accountable, but you have to be willing to hold yourself accountable, because we can only do it to a certain extent. At the end of the day, you are independent contractors. So that is very important, as the accountability aspect.
Yeah. And one of the things I learned too, as far as like holding myself accountable, because I could say, my goal every day, which I think should be a goal for every one of you, is to have at least 2 to 3 hours a day, focusing your time and energy on marketing, prospecting, generating leads. So from Monday to Friday, you should have anywhere from 10 to 15 hours spent, invested doing those things. But then all of a sudden on Friday or Saturday, I had to reschedule because of this inspection. I had to reschedule because of this personal appointment. Or I had to reschedule because, I needed to pick up my kid from school because he got sick. Well, those are definitely valid reasons, right? But at the end of the day, those are excuses. Those are reasons that aren't valid for not focusing on those vital activities. So being learning-based, being growth-based also means holding yourself accountable and not making excuses. Is that a fair statement? So I do it all the time. Oh, woe is me. I've got these excuses, but you know what? Excuses don't matter. Your checkbook, bank account doesn't care about excuses. It cares about vital income, direct income producing activities. Let's go to the next slide, please. Anyone else got anything to add? Agree? So far, so good. So this is just a formula. Aspirations, what you want, plus your direction, your goals, your plans, your strategies, plus the action that you take on your vitals and your time blocking, plus your focus leads to your achievement. So it's pretty simple, basic formula. So defining your aspirations. Go ahead and go to the next slide, please. So what you want and how badly do you want it? Now aspirations, starts out as, what do you want? Those are basic things. I want to drink water. I want, something to go to eat. Then you have your desires. The desires of, I'd like to have a new wardrobe. Then you turn those into, go to the next level, and aspirations or passions, things that you would be willing to work hard and make sacrifices to. And then the last level of aspirations are obsessions, which are not good. So what we're trying to say is, out of all the 4 different types of aspirations, focus on the ones that you're passionate about. Focus the ones that you're willing to put into work and suffer and go after. But that's pretty much mindset, because now we're going to go into some basic fundamentals of building your real estate business. And so the mindset, a lot of times those are common sense things. Those are things that we already all know. Everyone pretty well in this room. You guys have already been there, done that. But it's just something that we really want to kind of reprogram or recondition or remind your minds that focus on your mindset first. What are your aspirations? What's your focus? What are you going to want to achieve for this remainder of the year that's going to help you, create that momentum for next year? But anything else on mindset before we move on to the business part of it? Okay. So real estate is very basic. Real estate is not rocket science. The agents out there that are, chasing after shiny, glittery objects or spending lots of money on advertising and this and that, definitely those things work. They are good ideas, they're good systems. But going back to the basics of real estate is very basic. And focusing on the core basics first, building your platform, building your foundation, and then you can grow from there.
Yeah, I mean, so Tasha said it earlier, just make sure to get back to the basics and hold accountable. In my mind, and I say this a lot, success is basic tasks done on a regular basis that lead to big results. So the daily little things that you don't want to do, those are the things that take you to the level that you want to be to.
Yeah. And so in your handouts, this is where we said read, underline, and share. The basics of what we talked about, go back just a little bit. Real estate is a numbers game. So we have 28 beliefs. There's 3 different models. There's 8 functions, 4 responsibilities, 6 ancillary, 94 vital activities, 13, 14, 24. Those are a lot of numbers. And I don't expect everyone to remember all these numbers because I haven't. And then I'm not going to expect you guys to remember every single one of the 28 beliefs that you should have. But they are in your handout. And I would highly, I'm kind of lying because I have read them a lot and I do remember a lot of them. But I would say that that's part of studying, practicing, and reading and underlining these.
Right. So here's the thing. So those who were here last year, we went in really in detail with a lot of these things, and we're going to touch on them. But this doesn't take effect in here. It takes effect when you get out of here and you're able to go through these things on your own. So we will touch on them, knowing and hoping that you're going to implement them and go through them when we're done here today. On that note, I would also suggest maybe look around, maybe you can get an accountability partner to go through. That way you can stick to what we're trying to do here.
Yeah. So in your handouts, when you guys get a chance, read those, because there are some good ones. And actually some of these I've already mentioned. We live in a world of abundance. Your only limit is your time. Focus. I can't remember if that was Randy said that. Focusing is a key to your success. You reap what you sow. What you sow is your activity. Success stems from processes that you can and systems that you can duplicate. So leverage, doing more with less, is your key to abundance. So some great core entrepreneurial beliefs. All the other beliefs broken down in the 28 beliefs, whether it's the real estate section, the listing, and the buyer beliefs, again, those are all super important. So let's go ahead and roll to the next slide. Lance actually mentioned this earlier. We talked about the quadrants of being an employee, from a self-employed to a business owner to an investor. Lance mentioned at the end of the day, you're with RE/MAX because you own your own individual real estate business. You are the Maria team, you are the Jen team, you're the Randy team, the Tasha team. So with that being said, though, how do you leverage? How do you do more than less when you're an individual agent? What you do is you focus on your ancillary arms. So these are individuals or groups or companies that you can actually work with to help you grow your business. And so one of the number one things that you can do is work with a really good mortgage producer. How many of you guys have a real strong loan officer that you work with, that you reciprocate? Now, okay, so keep your hands up. A loan officer, raise them high, please, that you work with. Now, keep them high if you agree with this statement, that you reciprocate leads with. And what reciprocate means is you're not the only one that's given leads. They're giving you leads back. Okay, so some of you guys put your hands down, right? So I would say this is huge. This is one of the biggest things, whether you've been in business for a week, a year, 10 years, 30 years. One of the best strategies you can do is finding a loan officer that can reciprocate leads. Going to the biggest, going to the most popular. While you might get great service, you might get follow-up, closing on time, very, very important, isn't always the best strategy. In fact, your goals, plans, and strategy. So what I would suggest is find someone that you can create a reciprocal relationship with, that the leads are at least at the bare minimum 1-to-1. Now, we as real estate agents, a lot of times what I found is like 3-to-1, 4-to-1, but at least get one back. Does that kind of make sense? So again, that's the thing. And if you've been and track these numbers too. Whoever you're giving these leads to from a mortgage standpoint, See how, go back through your closed deals and see how many deals came back from that loan officer. And unfortunately, if that loan officer hasn't given you much, you might need to sit down with him or her, have coffee, a lunch, kind of come to Jesus meeting and be like, hey, I don't want to. So, this is what Joe or Jill, I looked at my business, I looked at all my 24 sales that I closed, and I got a lot of business from my past clients, I got a lot of business from referrals, I got a lot of business from my networking group. But one thing that I really noticed was that I wasn't getting very many leads from you. And you can have it said different ways, but the key thing there is now they might not be a good lead generating mortgage producer, but at least they need to help maybe cooperate with things that you're doing. So maybe they help fund your newsletter, they fund your networking events, your client appreciation parties, help you invest in some of your monthly, marketing expenses. But that is a huge thing to think about, because I've been there, done that, and have had loan officers that have not reciprocated. Thanks.
I just wanted to say real quick, I have a really picky buyer and I have to go to an inspection on their house. So anyway, I gotta head out, but here's the last thought I have is that we will all tell you that selling real estate is not a job, but it does require that you go to work every day.
Yeah.
Some wisdom.
I gotta go buy a house, guys.
That's like a mic drop. We should just quit right there.
By the way, since we're all in this training room, Lance is gonna split the referral, the commission evenly with however many in this room.
Real quick, just a disclaimer, what Boo was just saying as far as if lenders help you and stuff, just make sure you check into compliance standards as far as.
Yeah, definitely.
There's regulations there, so.
Yeah. But keep on this page slide. So ancillary arms are things that can help you build your business. So the 16 touch, we're going to get into that very thoroughly in the marketing momentum course. Title, that's leveraging all your different resources. So just don't think about title, think about real estate service center, think about anything that is associated with closing your business, attorneys, abstract, all that stuff. 8 and 8, we're going to talk more about that in marketing as well, very, very heavily. Inspection, making sure that you're also reciprocating with your inspector, because we all have, our go-to inspectors, and they probably have lots of agents, but just at least asking for that business.
Right. Well, and this has 6, but I mean, you've got stagers, you've got contractors, foundation investors. I mean, there's more than just this.
Yeah.
That you can consider arms.
Yeah. And then the 33 touch program, I do want to get you guys excited for future classes. So I'll tell you the 16 touch, the 8 and 8, the 33, you're definitely going to want to come to those classes. Those are going to be in the referral and marketing topics, and we'll have a calendar, dates, and all that stuff. Go ahead and go to the next slide, please. Okay, so again, focusing on your foundation, your business. So then also we talked earlier about, and I think it was Greg, focusing on things that are important, things that are vital, things that you need to keep your business alive and running. So we actually have it broken down in your handout, the 47 vital buyer activities. So we don't really need to go through all these right now. Again, back to reading, underlining, studying, practice, and taking action. Is these 47, if you do nothing other than focus on the 47 vital listing activities and the 47 vital business activities, that's going to give you a huge, strong foundation for building your business. This is your nuts. This is your, I don't know why I said that, sorry. Freudian slip, no, that's not even Freudian slip. Your nuts and bolts, that's why I said nuts. Your nuts and bolts, your meat and potatoes of building your business. So really go through this thoroughly, and this isn't for everybody. This is just real general. It's a great framework, it's a great outline, but if you, back to what I said about, and I think Shannon mentioned this, your time blocking, your activity blocking, focusing your time on generating leads to get listings, and you go through your for sale by owners, your expireds, your traditional and social media networks, your just sold, farming, things like that. And then you go into the lead conversion, which is another good chunk of what you should be spending your time on. And then from there, looking at all the things that you need to do from an admin standpoint, all the things you need to do from a marketing and exposure standpoint, and then everything that you need to do once the offer comes in, whether it's presenting the offer, negotiating the offer, everything you need to do to to close it, and then all the things that you need to do from a post-closing standpoint. This is actually a pretty, this is, I think, worth the price of admission, which admission is free, but, you know, just coming here, having this 47 activity items. But anyone from last year use this and have success with, you know, vital activities? Tasha's kind of nodding her head.
Yeah, I mean, I created like a, kind of like a checklist off of that, and I added some things. And then this year I actually invested in Top Producer, which has been awesome.
Awesome. That's awesome. That's great. But yeah, and this is exactly why we want to give this to you guys, because this is at the bare minimum a great start. You know, at the end of the day, a system is a bunch of to-do items that you create as a checklist. But you know, taking it and modifying it, and you're going to have, you know, some maybe additional ideas of how to generate leads, how to convert leads, ideas on how to market your listings more than what we have in here. But anyone else have anything to add to this vital list or had success with having something like this? Jen, I know you're a systems person, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yours is probably a little more than 47.
You know, it's very similar to this. Some of them we have combined and added things, but we're constantly changing it too. I think that's one thing that we've noticed is if something's not working or we get the same question over and over, we try and implement something that helps that. So I would love to get it down and have it perfect and never touch it again.
That's not a possibility of any good system. It's with technology, it's going to evolve. With
technology, new regulations,
it's going to evolve. It's always going to evolve. So the thing is to have it in place. That way you're just tweaking it, not building it. Because tweaking it takes less than building it. So no, it's just, and then these lists in here, these are suggestions. Everyone runs their business different. Take it, create your own, make it, you know, the way that's fitting for what you're doing.
Yeah.
I also love getting together with other agents that do systems and going over our systems, because I think they have ideas that I don't do or tweak. I think it's always good to bounce things.
That goes back to our law of abundance.
Yeah, law of abundance, to being open to sharing and growing. You know, back to the law of abundance and back to mindset real quick too. I've always found in life that when you give an idea, you give your time, you give your energy. The law of the universe tells me that, you know, I don't give expecting anything back. I give just because I want to give. But the law of the universe tells me that you'll get it back. And most often what's going to happen is you're going to get it back in loads. I think Maria can kind of even test to this too, and Cameron, and some of our other Concepts Cares members. We give our time, we give our energy, we help organize things. And the next thing you know, it's like these opportunities and these really cool things come back in your life. So just, so I kind of segued, sorry about that, but just focusing on just always knowing that business changes, you know, who moved their cheese, that book, you know, whether it's a change in regulations, you know, even on this, my copy was a little old and said something on HUD. Well, HUD is no longer a HUD, it's a closing disclosure. So just things change, technology changes. Probably 10 years ago, we wouldn't even have anything about marketing on social media, right? Unless you're on MySpace. MySpace?
I wasn't there, so.
Tasha wasn't even bored yet when MySpace was out. But so things will change. Now, knowing Jen as well, Jen's super modest and super humble. She's a perfectionist, and she's always looking to be a master and a student of the game. And this is with her being 11 years, 12 years now. 12? 2005?
Yeah.
12 years in business as an agent, and then how many years as a loan officer?
5.
5. So 12 plus 5, 17 years now. She started working when she was 5, by the way. But still being a student, still trying to become more efficient. And back to what I said earlier, trying to be taken to that next level and mastery, learning to master and being proficient at this. So definitely please focus on this and really study it and write it down, make it your own. Having a top producer type of system. We've got all kinds of really cool CRMs that our agents use, so if you need help with that. So, a little bit about this too, I don't remember if I mentioned this earlier. So this momentum, we're gonna continue it, but then, what was it, Tasha? Fall, or not fall, winter, spring of earlier this year, we did Kickstart too. And you kind of like Kickstart, right?
I did like Kickstart.
Yeah, Kickstart's fun. Kickstart really helps with accountability, doing some action items, some next step stuff. And so Becca and Marinelle and Sarah are going to send out some stuff about Kickstart, and those are going to be on Mondays. And then also to take this to the next level, we're going to have workshops, which are going to be actually led by Marinella, Becca, and Sarah, the three directors that help Shane, myself, Lance, and Matt and I lead the things from a brokerage standpoint. So literally every Monday, you're going to either have the ability to do some Kickstart, which is accountability, mastermind, and having a mentor, or not a mentor, but a partner, accountability partner. And then the opposite Monday is going to be the workshop. You can, build your Facebook page, work on your referral marketing systems, work on your lead streak, work on your websites, all that fun stuff. In addition to these Wednesdays, which we're going to talk about all the things that we mentioned.
Yeah, to me, the workshops are going to be game changers for anyone who attends them. So, we're talking here about going out and doing it on your own afterwards. Sometimes technology can be overwhelming. So coming in the following week with your laptop or Chromebooks or whatever you use and just sitting down and doing it, having them be able to walk around, help you get it set up, doing a Facebook ad manager if you don't have one. I really think that's going to be a game changer for anyone who's involved in that.
And that's at which program?
That's called.
That's going to be a workshop, and that's going to be Mondays. But look for an email on that.
Yeah, I think I've got it.
Yeah, it's all been in the upcoming stuff. It's called Kickstart/Reboot.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's going to be off weeks. One week will be class. The following week will be workshops in conjunction with what we're doing here. So we have a lot of training going on in the fall.
Yeah.
And we have some outside sources coming in also.
Yeah, we're going to sprinkle some vendors like RPR is coming and things like that.
Right.
So we pretty much we took a little bit of a break over this the summer just because we
have fun. That was our goal. Have fun.
Yeah, have fun, vacations, and sometimes the training it gets diluted, it gets stale. Some of the things we talk about over and over again. So really just kind of rethinking about what we want to do, and this is
day at the fair. That was fun.
Yeah, this is honestly what we came up with. So the momentum, the workshop, and the Kickstart. And that's the number one thing I would suggest is time block those things. Just put them in your calendar and don't let anything knock these three things off. And I don't care if it's a closing, I don't care if it's a buyer, a seller. That's one thing that I learned early on in life is being an agent in command of your time versus being an agent in demand. It's like demand, like TV on demand, right? You can watch a show whenever you click that button. We're just like that sometimes. We're agents on demand. Oh, can you drop everything you're doing, find a babysitter for your kids, cancel your lunch with your mom, and don't go to dinner with your spouse because I want to go look at this house. Okay, I'll do all those things. I'm going to sacrifice my time and energy because I'm an agent in demand versus being an agent in command. You know what? Someone calls me, hey, we want to do this and that. I've already got my schedule for the day, for the week, time block. You know what? And I already have it even pre-programmed that 9 to 11 is this type of activity. 11 to 1 is this type of activity. So if they're wanting to go do something, it's got to fall within those time blocks. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You know what? And sometimes you're flexible. I'm not saying don't be inflexible, but be an agent in command and not demand. Okay, next up, so don't go back to that one, please. Next up is the vital buyer activities. So the 47 is very cool for listing, but then having this framework, this activity list for the buyer activities, super important too. And just like what Tasha says, take it, look at it, make it your own, put it into your contact management system, but just live and breathe this, because what's going to happen is as you're doing multiple deals at a time, you're going to have these checklist items. So not only are you going to be focusing on the vital activities that are going to run your business, that's going to fund your life, but then also you're never going to skip a beat when it comes to servicing your buyers and servicing your sellers. You're always going to say, hey, you know what? I'm here at this list here. This is number 13. This is coming into the office. So when they come to the office, the gal at the front or the person at the front is going to say, you know what? Wait here, but I'll move you over to the conference room as soon as Tasha comes in the office. So having these checklists also creates a system which makes you more efficient, makes you more proficient, which means that you can monitor and track how much time and energy you spend with your buyers and sellers. To a point where when I was actively a buyer's agent, I had it down to 33 hours, guys. It took me 33 hours from start to finish to help someone find and buy a house. From the point where I set up the appointment, came to the office, I did my private buyer's presentation. I knew that was always going to be an hour and a half. And from there, helping them pre-screen listings on the MLS, and then narrowing it down to 10, knowing that the 10 listings were going to take me about 20 minutes each, knowing that I'll probably have to take them out 2 or 3 times, then knowing that I need to spend, time block an hour and a half for negotiations, an hour and a half for inspections, and then like 30 minutes for the closing, right? I had it broken down to 33 hours, and then that's what, systems and organization will do. And then all of a sudden I knew that, hey, if I want to sell, 50 houses a year and I'm at a 60-40 ratio, 60% buyers, 40% sellers, I got 60 33-hour segments. There's 50 weeks a year that I want to work. I don't want to work all 52. So I knew that I had to put in this much time and energy to focus on these clients. So by doing these things, having this checklist and then really having it, organized and timed out, you're going to know what's worth your time. All of a sudden, if it's 33 hours and this buyer's wanting to buy a $62,000 house and they want to buy it on contract, that's probably not worth your time. So does that make sense? Randy?
I don't know if anybody's really done an industry survey from realtors, and that 33 hours about within the framework. Has anybody ever really done that?
I think more often than not, most people aren't in control of their time or their schedule, and so I would say probably higher than that, because now you get a message that says, hey, I want to see these 10 houses. What who's talking about doing is helping them pre-screen them to avoid seeing 10 houses, so you're only looking at 3 houses.
Yeah, and not trying to sell them on something or diss a property, but if there's 10 houses, just being smart about it. And then actually, we're going to talk about this in a little bit too, like time value, right? And so I know what my hourly time is worth, and I think most of you in here can easily figure that out by just saying, okay, my annual goal is 50,000 or 100,000. You take that, divide the 50 by 2, that means your hourly worth is $25. The 100 divided by 2, that means it's worth 50. So all of a sudden, if I'm going to show 3 houses, that's 1 hour of my time. And then all of a sudden, if I can, help eliminate 2 or 3 houses because one's by the freeway, the other one, there was a smoker in there, the other one, doesn't have the bedroom layout or the bathroom layout they want, even though it looks cute on the outside, but they've already told me these are the things that they must have. All of a sudden, I've saved myself that hour of hour wasted. So, Shane, would you say something?
Well, no, just like we just said, setting that expectation up front too is, I'm sure all you've been in the, oh, this isn't going to work because I don't like the outside, but let's just go look at it anyway. Why? Just set that up front. If you know it's not going to work, let's not look at it. If you walk in the house and they're like, nah, I don't like this layout, why walk around the rest of the house? Keep moving on.
Yeah, and we are going over this pretty light today, guys, but there is a full class on buyer conversion and a full class on seller conversion. And so we're not really doing it justice right now. But we definitely just want to kind of plant some seeds with you. But having systems is super important, and focusing on these things and writing them down, making it habits, and then going from there is what we're trying to do for the rest of the year with you guys. Any questions on that? Any comments? Okay, let's keep going, please. 13, okay, this is back to like all those beliefs and numbers, and this is the $13 producing activities. Again, it's in your handouts, so you can kind of look at this more, but just breaking down like, what are you focusing on, from a closing standpoint, from a transaction standpoint, from a presentation standpoint, from a prospecting standpoint, and then also kind of trying to leverage, as a business owner, leveraging some of those ancillary arms. So one of the ancillary arms that we try to create for you guys is actually the service center, and them being able to help coordinate getting the checks and tracking down abstracts and things like that. So those things we felt weren't the highest, best use of your time as an agent. So that's why we've created the systems and the team members to help leveraging those things. So as we do that as a brokerage, those are just things that you should do as an agent. So just really focusing on these things, what you need to do, what you can delegate, or what you could outsource, or what you could potentially even hire if that's part of your business goal, as growing a team and hiring an assistant, whether it's a licensed or unlicensed assistant, or even bringing on team agents. Jane, did you have something?
No, just, everyone throws out the word team a lot. To have an assistant you know, you don't have to be a team. You don't have to think that that's what you have to strive for. So
yeah, there's a lot of great independent agents.
Everybody's goals are different.
Yeah.
So
a lot of agents that do not have team agents, buyer's agents. Now they will have assistants. But again, sometimes you need that's something that you don't need either. But just this is the key statement here. Your goal is to move from being total vital to totally dollar productive. So there's 47 vital buyer activities, 47 vital listing activities. Those things are important, but that doesn't mean that you have to do them yourself. Those are things that can be delegated, because then what this says is taking those 47 and then figuring out what's dollar productive. So what does Melanie need to do so that it's important correctly producing income versus things that you can leverage with an ACR, with your TC, with your broker. Sometimes that's actually one of the smartest things to do too, as far as dollar productive activities. If you're just in a really sticky situation and you're battling another agent and fighting over earnest money or inspection and they're just not listening, instead of like texting back and forth and having conversations, sometimes just get a broker involved. Get me involved. All of a sudden I call the other agent or I call the other broker. We spend our 2 or 3 hours hammering out, and then it gets done and handled. It's a true story. I was in the office last night till like 6:30 trying to get someone taken care of. So that's what we're here for. So move on to the next one, please. Time management is an oxymoron. So now I don't want this to come off the wrong way. Everyone talks about time management. I've talked about time management. You can't manage time. That's what it's simply saying, is you can't stop the clock. Unless you guys help me invest in this new idea, this new product I have. It's called the time defibrillator. So what it is like this crazy quantum mechanical thing that I've drawn up that will actually help you pause everyone else's time, and then that way you can kind of keep doing your own thing. Any investors?
How much?
For Randy, we already owe you money, so now you got 30%. But anyways, so time management, I just don't know why I said that. Time management is an oxymoron, so go ahead and go to the next slide. So instead of having time management, what we are calling it is called activity management. I think it was Shannon, maybe it was Tasha that said something about blocking. And so that's definitely what we're going to recommend, is blocking your calendar for the activities that are super important to growing your business. So when I mentioned earlier that I have like my 7-day calendar already laid out, I already know what I'm doing that week. Now it's just a matter of who and where, right? So I already know from 9 to 11, I focus on only certain types of activities. From 1 to 4, I only focus on certain types of activities. From 4 to 6, I only focus on certain types of activities. From 7 to 7, I'm off. Like I might text you back, I might chat you back, I might look at my emails, but for the most part, I'm not booking anything that's going to take me away from my wife and my kids. So that's exactly what we're recommending to you guys, is to activity block yourself to the point where you can easily say, you know what, Joe, I know you want to go look at houses. It's Sunday morning. I got church. I'm sorry. Can you do it later? Or I've already got an open house. Can we do it later? So just looking at your calendar, back to what I said about being an agent in command of your time versus being an agent in demand. And so this is my suggestions. This is new suggestions. So when it comes to lead generation, which is prospecting, marketing, generating the leads, that's the #1 goal. And I'd love to say that we all convert 100% of our leads, but for reality, we might convert anywhere from 5% to 80%, depending on what type of lead we had. So I like to recommend that lead generation is time blocked in the morning, like 8 or 9 for me is a great time to start lead generating. And then I like to focus 2 hours. Like 2 hours is kind of the maximum amount of time I feel that you can really focus on one thing. But if you pretty much activity block that Monday through Friday, and you know that, Monday is lead generation from 9 to 11. I'm gonna focus on for sale by owners. Tuesday, lead generation, 9 to 11. I'm gonna focus on past clients and database. Monday, I'm gonna focus on my social media systems and my calendar for the whole next month. Thursday, Friday, so you have all that stuff blocked out. All of a sudden, you know that from a habit standpoint, from an activity standpoint, you got those already in your schedule. No one can interfere with them. No one can say, hey, you know what? Ooh, let me take you out to coffee because I want to try to sell you an idea or sell you a product. I want to make sure I can be your detergent. No, I already got an appointment. Can't do that. But I can meet you at 12 because I have an opening at 12. So lead generation is the #1 thing that I would highly recommend. You always time block. But from there, lead conversion, your seller meetings, your buyer meetings. So those are also important, right? Because you have to have meetings to convert the leads. And that's the one thing that I always find that agents don't do a lot of, is have face-to-face meetings. You can't close deals all the time over a text message, over an email, over the phone. You can't pick up clients that way. You know, if you want to meet with them face-to-face, show them your value, take them through a buyer's presentation, take them through a seller's presentation, schedule a time block to show them the house, show houses. You have to set up meetings. So my recommendation for lead conversion times are in that over lunch, late afternoon, early evening, because a lot of times that's when the clients are available, right? And so however you want to dictate your time and energy is however you want to do it. So if you're willing to meet people at 6:37, that's your time. Go ahead and do it, but make sure you have it all balanced and in jive. So that lead conversion time is a huge thing to time block, but then also it's a huge metric to make sure that you always have people in that pipeline. Just because, back to what I was saying, from a lead conversion standpoint, you know, when I tracked my numbers, my referrals were at least 50%, if not 75%. So if I was top of mind awareness every day, I wanted to close 4 houses a month, pick up 4 new buyers, pick up 4 new sellers, you know, from a monthly standpoint, I would break that down to the week. So then what I would remember that is, okay, I need, you know, this is the week of Monday, the 1st, I need to pick up at least X amount of leads because my conversion rate's 50%. I need to have at least this many appointments because my, you know, back to the conversion rate. So it's just things like that to know how you can time block, or not activity block, and hit those numbers. Does that kind of make sense, Shane?
Yeah, I'm gonna add on to that. So I'm gonna kind of give my spin on this and kind of help narrow it down into 3 categories. And this goes into the activities management. So, and this is what I suggest, and you'll hear this over and over and over if you ever hear me talk or meet one-on-one. One, when you go to plug stuff in your calendar, your personal stuff comes first. Do you have kids' games? Do you have a date with your spouse or significant other? Do you have to go to the gym? Those should go on your calendar first. Then fill it in with what Ooh was just talking about, those things that are going to produce income one way or the other. So lead generation, personal development, things like that. Then fill it in with your buyer meetings, your seller meetings, and things like that. What happens is most people get those last 2 twisted. Well, actually, they get them all twisted. So they get them twisted, but then their business is constantly doing this because they failed to do the second one first and make it a priority. So if you ever decide, you know, I could go show this house, or I could spend 2 hours prospecting, or whatever it may be, what's more important? The prospecting is. Because if you don't do that, you're not going to have anyone to show a house to. And if you don't do the first part, you might do well in real estate, but your home life's not going to be great.
Yeah.
So those are the 3 categories I always harp on if you ever talk to me.
Yeah, and I completely jumped over the personal. I call that pink time, and pink time is definitely the first thing that you put in your calendar. So time with kids, family, grandkids, spouses.
Taking care of yourself.
Yeah, medical appointments, going to the gym. Time block those first, and then everything else goes around it. Any questions on that? Does anyone kind of already do that and have some success with that? You want to share? Okay. All right. I think that one pretty much concludes momentum #1. And so next steps, we got Kickstarter. I'm pretty sure it's this Monday, right? It's on. It should be on calendars. So like I said, Kickstart. Please come if you want to spend the time to actually go through some of these things, the financial plans. We're gonna. The whole goal of Kickstart is we got the workshops to actually do the work, but the Kickstart really is about taking the action and having some accountability. And then what we're going to do too is try to partner you up with another agent that might be a good fit from a personality, production standpoint. So again, study, practice, take action, reinforce. There's a pretty cool acronym for that. It's a SPAR. So you're sparring, studying, practice, action, reinforce. Go through the handouts, fill them out, and then kind of just plant a seed. The financial plan is super important. So for those that said, you know, you didn't have any goals, highly encourage you to set goals. A lot of setting goals is, one, determining what your whys are, just being really excited and passionate about your whys. But then Two, figuring out, from a financial standpoint, what you need to A, pay the bills and at least break even, but then B, making some profit. The profit that you can save for retirement, that you can use for your investments, that you can have for your fund money. So that financial plan is very, very important. I look at my financial plans every week at least just to see how I'm doing, and that actually keeps me motivated and tells me, okay, these are the things that I need to really monitor and pay attention to and focus my direct income producing activity time on. But other than that, anyone have any questions?
So we come back here next week then?
Yeah, all the trainings are here now.
Yep.
Momentum and
Yep,
everything.
next Wednesday, but Randy, the kickstart will be Monday. We'll have Becca and Marinella send out a reminder for Monday kickstart, and then Wednesdays. So if you wanted to time block Mondays and Wednesdays until the end of the year, you'd be good to go.
What
So
time
you
on
highly
Mondays?
recommend that we get involved with the Kickstart?
It's not just, so the thing is, Randy, it's Kickstart/reboot.
Okay.
So a lot of people hear Kickstart because you think you're a new agent. It's about just the basics, whether you've been in it however many years you've been in it, or you're a newer agent. It's the fundamentals are the same. So I would highly encourage anyone to come to it.
Have they set up enrollment for that yet?
Yeah, it's all online.
Yep, it's all in that email. Let me do
Yeah,
this.
it's all in the same email.
I'm gonna just.
And we'll make sure we get an email out because there might be a week gap in between it.
Hold on real quick, before everyone leaves and gets up, we'll make sure that we have a list of everyone. Actually, I should take a picture, you guys. You want to smile?
Wave.
I would take a selfie too. Jane, will get the selfie?
I'm not a selfie.
I don't take selfies either.
Yeah, you know, higher.
Higher up.
What? He's blocking Carl's head.
That's great.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Oh, I got on time.
It's like a 5 second.
I got a timer, sorry.
What's up with that?
By the way.
That was from my vacation. I had it on a 5-second delay because, so I went on vacation. If anyone ever wants like a cool road trip idea. So in August, I love road trips. So we take the kid, I have 4 kids and my wife, and we went from Des Moines to Chicago to Detroit to Sandusky, Ohio. Who knows Sandusky?
Tommy Boy.
Roller coaster capital of the world. Super cool. It's called Cedar Point. And from there, we went to Niagara Falls, who's been in Niagara Falls? Pretty cool. Beautiful place. Then we went to Toronto for a few days. Then we drove back through Ontario, Lake Michigan. We found a really cool little beach town. And then 14-hour drive home. We're going to stop in like Illinois, but I just kept going. But it was a pretty cool trip. But long story short, that's why I have a 5 seconds timer on this, because I don't take a lot of selfies. But when no one else is taking your picture, we have this selfie stick, and then you're trying to like herd these little kids to get in the right spot. You need at least 15 seconds actually. But anyone have any questions?
Kickstart starts on the 2nd.
What time?
So there's a week gap.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Week after
I'm
next
off.
Monday.
And it will start at, I think, 11.
I think it's the same time.
11 Mondays.
Or no, I'm sorry, 1 to 2:30.
Oh, didn't
One
we?
to
I'm way off.
So
Sorry,
October
don't listen to
2nd,
me.
1 to 2:30.
That's why they.
I used to be an agent in command of my schedule, but then what happened is when you get like team members and assistants, then all of a sudden you just show up whenever you're.
They're in command of your schedule.
Yeah, then you just show up when your reminder goes off. And you go, oh, that's not good.
Ooh, do you want to say bye to everyone
Oh,
online?
bye everybody. Hey, if you're watching, please send Marinella a message that you watched, and then that way we can make sure you get all this information, all the handouts and stuff. That's all we got.